Hey up, welcome back. Now, a few videos back you might have seen I did some content about how I produce content, and that was by popular demand. Quite a few people asked for me to do a video about how I record my content, and that initial video was all about the capture phase, basically going out and about on the bikes with the action cameras and capturing content for later editing. Now, proved quite popular, that video, and on the back of it a lot of people asked if I would show the next phase of the process, commonly referred to as in post, i.e. post capture, and that's basically the editing phase, and this is where the hard work begins. So yeah, I'll be taking you through the basics, and it is the basics as to how I go about editing my content before uploading it onto YouTube. Now, got some crib notes here so I don't miss anything. So yeah, so that last video all about capture, all about action cameras and ND filters and mounts and memory cards, battery chargers, microphones, all the rest of it. Of course, once you've captured your footage, you're gonna need to be able to edit it into some form of 4K content. And for the purposes of this here video, I'm going to be talking 4K. If you're embarking upon this sort of thing for the first time, to my mind it makes no sense to cut corners and go for equipment that's only capable of dealing with 1080p HD or 2.7K. Really needs to be 4K because that's where YouTube is at the moment, and a lot of people out there, dare I suggest most, will have now 4K capable smart TVs. So yeah, that's what we're going to be assuming, and I'll break this down into two parts really. First video and then audio, video and audio. So on the video side, basically in terms of editing, it's about having the right computer, the right display, the right screen. You're going to need peripherals such as card readers, so you're going to need a card reader to be able to transfer files from your micro SD card to your computer for editing, and these are quite inexpensive and they just plug into your computer basically, so you can download the content from the SD card from your camera. Hard drives, 4K video footage is incredibly memory hungry, so if you're going to want to keep most of your footage, then you're going to need a lot of additional storage on your computers. I mean, computers when you buy them typically can come with 1, 2, 4, maybe 8 terabytes of drive. But what I've done is what most people do in these circumstances, and that is invest in several external hard drives, a couple of solid state drives and one standard spin up hard drive. Total capacity across the piece for me 10 terabytes, would you believe, and I'm still running out of storage, so I'm going to need another external hard drive. So you'll definitely need those, and of course your editing software. You might be able to see behind me here my preferred editing software, Wondershare Filmora, is running because it's recording what I'm saying, which I will later edit into the video footage. So it's recording through this here microphone. I also have DaVinci Resolve, which works a little bit differently but essentially produces the same end product, and there are other video editing software suites like Final Cut Pro and Power Director and what have you. Okay, so I use Filmora. If you're starting off afresh, take your choice really. They're all pretty much the same and the end product is pretty much the same. I bought a lifetime license for Filmora some time ago, and so it's regularly updated. Okay, so that's video. On the audio side, we're going to be looking at microphones, the preamp that you're going to need for certain kinds of microphones, certainly this one, and earphones and or speakers depending on your preference, or you might want to have both. So it's probably appropriate at this stage actually to have a little chat about audio. Now, audio on your video content, basically there are three ways of doing it. The first way is what I call on-the-fly commentary, which is what I do an awful lot, where you have an audio setup inside your motorcycle helmet that's connected to your action camera. So you have a microphone inside your helmet that's connected to the action camera, and you're recording your voice directly onto what's being recorded on the camera. So everything's synced up and fine, no issues there. The other way to do it, if you don't want to do that, is you can do what are sort of called occasional pieces to camera. I mean, you'll be out and about doing your footage, capturing your beautiful landscapes passing by, and occasionally you might want to stop, get off the bike, and then do a piece to camera and have that featuring occasionally through the video. Now, for that, you're probably going to need a dedicated, good quality Bluetooth mic set up. I use, you may have seen, the Rode 2 system, where you get a couple of mics that can clip to your jacket, and then a sender unit that connects to the camera, sender receiver that connects to the camera. You can, of course, rely upon the cameras built into the GoPros or the Insta360s or whatever you're using. However, they'll be pretty susceptible to ambient noise, particularly wind noise. So if you're going to do pieces to camera as your main focus on your audio, I suggest that you go down the route of a dedicated wireless microphone setup for your camera. The third way, of course, to introduce audio, your audio that is not backing music or anything like that, but your commentary onto your content, is by voiceover. So what you would do is effectively what I'm doing now, where you go out without any audio equipment, film what you need to film, and any commentary that you want to insert you do by way of voiceover during the editing phase. And for that you're going to need a decent studio microphone, and I'll come on to do that. So those are the three ways in which you would normally include audio content into your video content. Okay, so let's jump back to video then and editing. And as you know, I use Filmora software, but you're going to need a computer that's well capable of dealing with 4K video, and that means it's going to need a lot of RAM, and it's going to need a lot of very capable, shall we say, internals in terms of video cards and sound cards, graphic cards, all the rest of it, to be able to deal with that sort of demand. So make sure whatever you buy is capable of handling 4K video editing. In terms of RAM, the absolute minimum is 16, 32 is preferable. This system I have here, it's a Minis Forum mini desktop computer, and this has 64 gigabytes of RAM and a lot of video processing power as well. And it's been absolutely transformative in terms of my workflow compared with what I had previously, which wasn't really up to the job, to be fair. Nothing more frustrating than watching your computer take hours and hours and hours to render a small amount of 4K footage. So if you get the right kit from the outset, you can either do PC Windows or you can do Apple, but if you're going to go down the Apple route for the same thing, you're paying 3 times as much. So it's up to you. You pay your money, your tech's your choice. So you've got to make sure that your computer is 4K capable. There's plenty out there. Just make sure that you do your research. Yeah, and your display, obviously what you want to be able to see while you're editing your software, and once you've rendered it and you've got a final product, you want to be seeing what other people are going to be seeing on their 4K smart TVs. So you're going to need for that purpose, a 4K monitor, a 4K screen like this one here. They're not massively expensive now like they used to be. Shop around. Not absolutely essential that it's 4K capable, your monitor, but really, if you want to see the fruits of your labours and see what other people are going to see when the product's uploaded, then you're really going to need a 4K screen, I would suggest. Yeah, obviously you'll need a keyboard and a mouse, so that goes without saying. I have these here, or this here rather, retro keyboard. It's a replica 1980s keyboard, because I just love the way they sound and how tactile they are, but it's up to you. But obviously you're going to need a keyboard and a mouse. Yeah, now, card readers we've touched upon. You're going to need card readers, obviously, for your content to transfer from your camera SD card, micro SD card, almost always, onto your computer. And you're also going to need a lot of memory space. So we touched on hard disk drives. Hard disk drives, as the name implies, have no moving parts in them. They tend to boot up quicker, operate quicker, but they're more expensive, pro rata to the amount of storage. The standard spin-up drives, they're a little bit slower. You have to wait for them to boot up, but terabyte for terabyte, they're a bit cheaper. So I have both. It's up to you what route you want to go down. However, what I would say is, whilst you are editing, by far the best way to go is to ensure that the content that you're editing is actually on your main computer's hard drive, normally the C drive. So it needs to be on your computer's main drive itself. Of course, you can edit off the SD card, and you can edit off your peripheral hard disk drives, but it'll be slower. It's significantly slower, and I find it a lot smoother and a much more rewarding experience if, for the period during which you are editing, your content actually sat on the hard drive. Just copy it onto the hard drive of your computer. If your computer starts clogging up with memory, you can always then transfer it to your peripheral hard drives, and that'll free up space. But for the period during which you are editing, you'll find it a lot more straightforward and a lot less frustrating if you've got it on your computer's hard drive. So yeah, memory intensive 4K. As I said earlier, I've got 10 terabytes and I'm running out already. Okay, so yeah, software editing we've touched on. I'd say there are quite a few editing suites out there, but they all basically do the same thing. They've all got the special effects. Most of them have got some AI functionality in them now, which ain't always all that brilliant, to be honest with you. But they will all give you what you need to produce a polished product at the end of the day. If you stick at it, get to learn the system, get familiar with it, get to know its quirks and idiosyncrasies, because they all have them, and learn to work around them. So whatever you choose, stick with it. I would say don't chop and change. Yeah, editing software. So on to audio. Okay. Now I've touched on the 3 ways in which you can include a spoken narrative, a commentary, onto your content, and the first 2 are fairly obvious. I did cover them in part in the previous video. The audio system in your helmet connected to your action camera, or some form of remote wireless mic setup to your action camera for pieces to camera. The other way to proceed, and a lot of YouTubers do this almost exclusively, I do it occasionally, and that's effectively a form of what I'm doing now, which is a voiceover. So to do that, you're going to need a suitable microphone connected to your computer. And it's basically a case of you get what you pay for. There's no other way of putting it when it comes to the quality of audio equipment. That said, you can get satisfactory results with something not hugely expensive. Now this microphone here, you'll probably recognise it because it's an industry standard. It's the Shure SM7B, and I have it on a boom here. You can get it on a table stand as well, and it's pretty much the industry standard. If you watch podcasts and professional content, particularly on YouTube, they're often using this system or the Rode equivalent. Not at all cheap, and I've had to buy, I should mention, all of this I've bought myself. There's no product placement or promotional support going on here whatsoever. All of this I forked out, I know, at my cost. You don't have to spend an absolute fortune, but you should, excuse the old squeaky chair, you should be prepared to fork out a few quid. Now these microphones, these Shure SM7Bs, are what's called a dynamic microphone. There's two kinds really, dynamic and condenser. The dynamic mic, like something like this, I don't know if you can see it there, can you? Yeah, that's a preamp. So you're going to need something that can process the sound from your microphone and then output it, and this gives you control over gain and volume and output and one or two other quite useful little functions as well, but you need both. And this is where it gets expensive really, because it isn't just your mic, you've got to have the preamp set up as well. But you don't if you get one of these here. Now this is what I used originally, and you can pick these up for about 50 quid. It's just a condenser mic. It works slightly differently. The sound quality is not really as good as a setup like this, but it's not that poor that it would stand out to most people viewing on a smart TV. So that's the option. All I would say is, you know, if it's in your budget, something like this has a much better rendition of sound, particularly voiceovers, than something at the more budget end of the spectrum, if you like. Yeah, so that's audio. So that's video and audio. So your three main methods of including audio into your video content: on the fly, pieces to camera, or voiceovers in your recording studio, computer room, study, whatever you want to call it. If you're using one of these though, that's the rule of thumb, that distance from your mouth, otherwise you'll get the echo in the room. If I sort of move away from this squeaky chair again, if I sort of deliver the audio from that distance, you start to hear the acoustics in this small room, a bit of an echo, so you need to be reasonably up close when you do your voiceovers, and that's the rule of thumb: fist distance between microphone and your mouth. Aye, so let's just take a look at how I actually do the editing. So I'll do a bit of a screen record going on here, and I'll voice over it, and I'll show you how I do the editing basics, and it is only the basics on the Filmora software platform. Let's have a look at that then. Okay then, so let's take a look at the basics of how I start to edit my content in Filmora. Now I use almost exclusively Filmora, but there is also DaVinci Resolve, which I'll just show you here. And DaVinci Resolve just has a slightly different layout and slightly different functions to Filmora, but works on basically the same sort of platform. So let's just come out of DaVinci, go into Filmora, and when you first load up Filmora, when you click Start a New Project, you get this panel here, and this is your preview screen for editing, and this is where you import your files. So you can either import them via this icon here, or you can drag and drop from your files. So let's have a look at my files and I'll show you how I sort of catalogue them. So if we come in here, I keep all the library material once I've finished editing it on the additional 6TB hard disk drive that I have there. And these are the categories. I have some B-roll, bike reviews, anything on Eddie, product reviews, stills photographs. The final video that I upload to YouTube I will store there. But if we take a look at rideouts, and initially I categorise my rideouts by bike, so BSA Gold Star, CF Moto 800 MT, Moto Guzzi V7, any other bikes that I happen to ride, Royal Enfield Classic 350 and the Classic 650. So if we have a look in the Classic 650 there's a list of rideouts I've recently done: Kettlewell to Leyburn, Kettlewell to Semawater, Leyburn, Reef, Tanhill and Hawes. That's to come, fill your boots. And Thrustcross, Lofthouse, Leighton. So if we go into the Leyburn, Reef, Tanhill, Hawes, then I split between bike camera and helmet camera. If I take a third camera out, I just call it bike cam 2. So the helmet cam is obviously the camera mounted on the helmet, and there's the relevant footage. Now what I could do is drag these videos into the editing panel in Wondershare Filmora, but we're in the separate hard disk drive, and as I said earlier, it's far better to edit with the video footage on your main Windows drive there, Windows C. So all I've done is the two videos that I'm going to show you, which is the helmet cam and the bike cam, I've copied them. So this is what I suggest you do. If you've got them stored on an additional drive, either your SD card or an additional hard drive, for the period during which you are doing your editing, I suggest you copy all the footage that you're going to edit onto your hard drive. So if we go into the main hard drive on the computer here, into there, and I've just stuck it in miscellaneous for the moment. So the two that I'm going to use is this one and this one, which is the start of a journey me and Andy did from Leyburn to Reef. So control and click on each so we get them both and just drag them into that panel there, and you'll always get these displayed. Just click yes and OK. Right, so you've got your two videos here. Now this one here is the helmet cam, and this one here is the camera mounted to the bike's handlebars. Okay, so what we're going to do first of all is to take into the editing bar, which is down here, the main helmet camera footage, because the footage from the handlebars will just be an occasional switch from one view to the other. So we'll bring this one down first, and yes, always match to media. This is 4K, 3840 by 2160 is 4K, and I shoot at 24 frames per second, near as damn it there. Okay, so you don't want this 1080p setting, you want this one here. Now on top of this, if we bring down the bike camera footage, and exactly the same, you'll see three peaks in the audio. So this bottom bit here and here, that's the audio track, and you can detach it if you need to, but for these purposes this is what we're going to do. Now those that have seen me out and about know that once I've fired the camera up, the cameras up, both cameras, and before I start the bike I give 3 blasts on the horn, and that is to synchronize the two cameras, and it shows up as these 3 peaks here. Look, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, that's the horn sounding. Now to get these two videos to be perfectly synchronized, we just need to match these two, and if you just magnify it slightly, it becomes more accurate. So if you plus up, i.e. stretch the timelines here, then you'll see you get a clearer representation of those 3 peaks. So we just need to match these two. So the thing to do is to take that editing bar up there and a couple of clicks there, so then delete that, and then all we need to do is come here and in the same position on the first of those peaks there, delete that and bring that into the same position. So as you can see there, we've got the bike camera picking up the sound of the horn and the helmet camera picking up the sound of the horn, perfectly synchronized. So everything from here on in is perfectly matched, so we can switch between one camera and the other during the editing. So now the sound, because you don't want sound from both the microphone inside your helmet and the microphone built into the bike mounted camera, you only want the helmet mounted camera, because that's got your commentary on it and it's also got the better of the ambient bike engine sound. So we can just mute completely by pulling that bar down there, take out all of the audio on that track. Okay, and we can minimize it so we get everything in. So then it's a matter of setting the volume here. Now I like to set this at 6.9 dB. At 6.9 dB for your in-helmet commentary, I found that that comes out just about right on my smart TV on volume level 12. So that's how I reference this, if you like. I make sure that the output volume is at 6.9 dB, and that equates to just about the right volume of sound coming out at level 12 on the TV once it's uploaded to YouTube. So what you'll see now is if I just take out the bike cam to start with, and we're just on the helmet cam, you see we've got all this footage here. This is one of Filmora's naughty little quirks. If you get the position of your cursor slightly wrong, it moves the whole thing. This is what we want. In fact, one thing I've just noticed here is we've still got our yeah, that's fine. That's fine. What happens when you do the original cut to match up your 3 peaks? It'll cut the bottom one before the top, and so you end up with a separate video there. But if you take this up there like that, you'll see those 3 peaks are still matched. So what you want to do now is we'll take that just blank that off, bike cam off for the time being, just go with helmet cam, and we come up to the part in the content where we want the video to start, and let's say we want it to start just as we're pulling off there. So all of this here we don't need now. It's all synchronized together, so we take out this bit by cutting there and delete and delete that. So we're still perfectly matched. So what you'll find then is, if we again, you can take out the video and the sound on any of these so that you're only viewing one or the other, like so. But you will always get to see first the what's referred to as the video 2 channel here, the top channel. You'll always get to see that first. So to view your main helmet cam footage, you just need to take out that for the time being. And then for me, all I do is alternate between one and the other. So to do that, we just do a series of cuts. So I'll take that one out, and then we'll go to a bit of bike cam, and then we'll go back to the helmet cam. Take that out, then we'll have a bit of bike cam, and then back to helmet cam, take that out. And so what you get then is, if we click that channel back on, is you'll get a perfectly synchronized move from one to the next, like so. And then back to the helmet camera view, and so on. And again here where we've done it there, you'll get the view from the helmet cam, switch to the bike cam, and back to helmet cam. Okay, so that's basically how you synchronize two cameras. Obviously you've got a whole plethora of adjustments here, so wherever you click on a video section, you've got all your adjustments you can make. You've got all your color grading here. These are all your color grading options. I do a bit of color grading to balance white balance and saturation, contrast, curves. If you're familiar with photo editing, you'll be familiar with these adjustments here and how you can tweak the quality. So it does take quite a bit of work to do that, and that will operate, these adjustments will operate on whatever section of video is highlighted by the white boundary, thus, or on the other camera, thus. So for example, if we wanted to tweak, need to take the volume out on those ones again. If we wanted to tweak, say, this bit of the footage here, because it's a little bit dark and underexposed because the sun's directly into the camera, then you just select it there, and then we can go into the basic color options, and we can actually make an adjustment to all sorts of settings, like exposure would bring this. So there's more detail in the jacket there, but the sky's starting to blow out a little bit. But anyway, look, as you can see, you have all these adjustments to video to actually perfect the final product. Similarly with the audio tracks, you go into audio, then there's all the audio settings there to tweak your audio, and that's basically it. And once you've done that, once you've got it exactly as you want it to be, there are all sorts of other fancy things you can do here, like fades and warps and zooms and transitions between one video and the next, and overlaying text, and you know, there's all these text options here that you can overlay onto your content. Once you've done all that and you're happy with the final product, it's a question of exporting. Click export, and you'll get this option here. Just make sure that you're still exporting at 4K, which we are. Your frame rate, that has defaulted to 60, and we know we're actually at 23.97 is where we are. So it's very important to check these settings before you actually upload. And then when it comes to export, it'll export to whichever folder you have selected there, and then you'll have a finished product. Like I say, that's just a very brief overview. I can't give you a comprehensive look at all the functionality of Filmora or DaVinci for that matter, because it is extremely complex. But once you get your head around the basics, you should be able to produce your first bit of content without too much difficulty. Aye, and then it's a matter of uploading it to YouTube. That'll probably be for another video, but anyway, that's the very, very basics of editing. Hope it was of some interest to you. The only thing that I didn't add on at the start of the video when we're talking about audio, you're going to need either a good set of speakers or a good set of earphones. I use earphones so that you can monitor your audio quality properly. Forgot to mention that, but equally important. And apart from that, there we are, the Bingley Wheeler editing studio. Hey, otherwise known as small spare bedroom. And yeah, your software of choice for doing that. And I'm not here to recommend Filmora over anything else. It's just this was the one that I picked and bought the license for. So if you enjoy the content on this channel, please can I ask you to subscribe, like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's free of charge, don't cost you a penny, not now, not ever, but it makes a massive difference to me. Still, would you believe, I do all this work absolutely for free, obviously, but I love doing it. I'm not complaining, but still 60 to 70% of people who repeatedly watch this channel don't subscribe for some reason. Please, if you're not already subscribed, please could I ask you to consider subscribing. Alright, that be it. Until the next time then, and in the meantime, ride safe, be kind, and I'll see thee.